They say the sky belongs to whoever dominates it first. And the United States has just unveiled the weapon that could change everything. A fighter jet so advanced it surpasses even the F-35, and of which barely any real images exist. It's called the F-36 Viper Strike, and according to Pentagon sources, its development could end Russian air supremacy in less than a decade. This isn't an upgrade, it's a new generation. The birth of the Viper Strike. After decades of air dominance, the United States faces a new threat. The balance of power in the skies is shifting. Russia and China have closed the technological gap at an unthinkable pace just 10 years ago. Russia's Su-57 and China's J-20 are not only advanced fighters, they are symbols of a direct challenge to American air power. And while emerging powers showcase their prototypes to the world, the U.S. prefers silence. A silence that, in its military history, has always preceded a devastating strike. The F-36 Viper strike is born from that strategy. Conceal evolution while the enemy boasts. Behind its name lie years of experimentation with impossible materials, software that learns in real time, and engines capable of adapting to the environment. It's not just an aircraft, it's an air combat system designed to dominate every layer of the sky, from low-altitude tactical operations to near space. Its goal is not to compete with Russian or Chinese fighters, but to render them irrelevant. The idea for the F-36 stems from a problem the Pentagon could no longer ignore. The F-22 Raptor, though still a technological marvel, is expensive, limited in number, and extremely complex to maintain. The F-35, meanwhile, was born as a multi-role fighter, but its ambition turned it into a cumbersome program, requiring over a decade of adjustments. The Viper strike was meant to break with all that. A lightweight, cost-effective fighter with intelligence and capabilities surpassing any other aircraft in its class. Something that could be deployed quickly, operate silently, and vanish before the enemy understands what hit them. According to leaked reports from Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, the project's development began under a program known as Next Generation Tactical Fighter. Unlike previous fighters, the F-36 was conceived with a radical principle. The aircraft could be digitally reconfigured based on the mission. This means its software can switch from offensive to reconnaissance mode in minutes, or adjust its electromagnetic signature to go unnoticed by different types of radar. It doesn't need a fleet of different variants. It's a single body with 1,000 possible forms. But what truly sets the F-36 apart isn't its visible design, it's its brain. The Viper strike integrates a tactical neural network, a military AI trained on millions of hours of air combat simulations. Its role isn't to replace the pilot, but to enhance them. It analyzes environmental data, calculates trajectories, and anticipates threats in real time. The pilot doesn't just fly the plane, they synchronize with it. Instead of receiving alerts, they receive pre-analyzed decisions. The machine proposes, the human chooses, and that human-machine connection reduces response times from minutes to seconds. Each generation of fighters has had its hallmark. The F-15 represented power, the F-22, stealth superiority, the F-35, connectivity. The F-36 is the synthesis, intelligence, speed, and adaptability. It can take off from short runways, operate autonomously, or integrate with swarms of support drones. The Air Force plans for it to be the first aircraft capable of leading and coordinating autonomous airstrikes, deciding the use of weaponry and tactics without relying on a constant command center. And the F-36 wasn't designed just to fly faster or shoot farther. It was designed to think faster. Its flight system doesn't follow fixed routes. It creates its own combat map. It detects emissions, interprets patterns, and predicts enemy movements with deep learning algorithms. This allows it to enter and exit hostile airspace without leaving a detectable trace. While a Russian radar tracks a shadow, the Viper strike is already back at its base. Another key pillar is its adaptive propulsion, a technology that was mere theory a few years ago. Unlike conventional engines with a single airflow, this engine changes configuration depending on the mission. If the aircraft needs speed, it behaves like a supersonic jet engine. If it needs to save fuel and remain invisible, it transforms into a variable cycle engine, reducing its thermal and acoustic signature. This advancement allows it to reach speeds close to Mach 2.8 and maintain a range superior to any fighter in its category. All this without sacrificing stealth. The Viper Strike uses new composite materials with active electromagnetic properties. Its very surface can alter how it reflects radar waves. It's not just an aircraft that's hard to detect, it's an aircraft that can decide when to be detected. In deception missions, it can mimic the signature of an F-15 or F-35, confusing enemy defense systems and creating tactical illusions. The project was also designed with practicality in mind, reducing maintenance costs, one of the biggest criticisms of the F-35. Every Viper Strike module can be replaced in the field without specialized hangars. Its electronic components are 3D printed and can be updated via software. In theory, the aircraft can remain operational for decades without requiring a major redesign. But behind every figure, behind every improvement, there's a political message. The United States isn't just seeking a better fighter, it's seeking a signal, a reminder to Moscow and Beijing that its air dominance remains intact. The F-36 is that signal, a silent warning, built not to be paraded, but to operate in the shadows. And though its existence hasn't been officially acknowledged, the signs are clear. U.S. congressional reports mention budgets for sixth-generation tactical platforms. Defense analysts have identified flight tests in restricted Nevada desert areas with never-before-seen silhouettes. And test program pilots describe an aircraft impossible to track even with cutting-edge military radars. This is how the F-36 Viper Strike is born, at the precise intersection of necessity and fear, where technology ceases to be a tool and becomes deterrence. It's not a replacement, it's a warning, a silent message that American air dominance hasn't ended. It's just become harder to see. The Viper Strike reflects a new military mindset, one where power is no longer measured solely in speed or weaponry, but in information, autonomy, and reaction time. And if the history of combat aviation has proven anything, it's that whoever controls those three factors controls the sky. The design of the future, invisibility and mechanical mind. In the world of military aviation, every curve, every line, every angle has a purpose. There's no aesthetic detail. Everything is survival. The F-36 Viper Strike takes this principle to the extreme. It wasn't shaped by a designer's hand but by algorithms. Its form doesn't seek beauty, it seeks invisibility. From the earliest sketches, the engineering team knew they had to create something enemy radar couldn't comprehend. The F-17's flat surfaces are now obsolete, and the F-35's smooth curves are starting to be detectable by new multi-band radars. The Viper Strike goes further. Its outer skin is made of a mesh of metamagnetic materials that distort electromagnetic waves and scatter them in chaotic patterns. In practice, it doesn't disappear, but it ceases to have a recognizable shape. To a radar, it's not an aircraft, it's noise. But the true innovation lies beneath that skin. The F-36's fuselage has no traditional ribs or rivets. It's a 3D printed monocoque made of self-healing composite materials, capable of sealing microcracks caused by flight stress. In combat, this means it can take small hits and keep flying without compromising its structure. An aircraft that heals itself not only saves on maintenance but extends its operational lifespan by up to 40% compared to current fighters. Inside the fuselage, the F-36's internal layout follows an almost biological logic. Engineers call it a neural structure. Instead of separate cables and circuits, the aircraft has an integrated network of fiber optics and distributed processors. Each section of the fuselage can calculate, transmit, and correct data on its own. It's literally a digital body. This decentralized architecture makes it resilient to failures. If one part of the system is damaged, the rest reorganizes automatically. That structural intelligence enables one of the F-36's most impressive maneuvers, ghost mode. In this state, the aircraft reduces all electronic emissions, shuts off active transmitters, and operates in a bubble of absolute silence. Its optical and thermal sensors keep functioning, but they emit no traceable signals. From the enemy's perspective, it simply vanishes. The Viper Strike's cockpit also breaks paradigms. There are no physical panels or buttons, only an augmented reality interface projected directly onto the pilot's helmet visor. Everything is controlled via voice commands, gestures, or neural sensors integrated into the helmet. It's a direct communication between human and machine, designed to eliminate any distraction. The pilot no longer needs to search for information, the aircraft provides it. If a missile is detected, the F-36 analyzes the probability of impact, evaluates countermeasures, and proposes 3 possible actions in microseconds. All this happens before the human brain completes a thought. The phrase that best defines it is simple. The pilot commands, the machine anticipates. But the most disruptive innovation isn't in speed or power, it's in collective thinking. The Viper Strike is the first U.S. fighter designed to operate in intelligent air swarms. This means it can communicate with other fighters and autonomous drones, sharing tactical information in real time. One Viper Strike can detect an enemy, another can calculate the optimal attack route, and a third can execute the strike, all without direct human intervention. This system, called Skylink X, is inspired, according to Air Force leaks, by the biology of bee swarms. Each aircraft acts like a cell within a larger organism. If one falls, the others reconfigure the network to maintain the mission. In combat simulations, a squadron of 5 Viper strikes operating in cooperative mode achieves 3 times the effectiveness of a same-sized group of F-35s. The enemy simply doesn't have time to react. Radars detect a target, but electronic systems show 5 ghost signals. Every move one fighter makes is partially replicated by the others, creating an impossible-to-follow pattern. It's a lethal ballet designed to overwhelm defenses and disorient radars. And yet, the pilot retains total control. They don't need to coordinate orders or establish voice communication. Everything happens automatically. The aircraft feels what the formation is doing and responds accordingly. In a modern war where seconds define survival, this kind of synchronization is more decisive than speed or weaponry. The F-36's design also carries a symbolic purpose. Every element of its form conveys the idea of a generation moving away from technological noise. While past fighters were laden with antennas, external sensors, and visible compartments, the Viper Strike integrates everything beneath the surface. There are no interruptions in its silhouette, no exposed angles. Aerodynamics merge with stealth to the point where the two concepts become one. Its backward curved delta wings allow extreme maneuvers at subsonic speeds without losing lift, and its AI-managed thrust vectoring system adjusts engine flow to execute turns impossible for conventional aircraft. In close combat, it can brake suddenly, pivot on its axis, and counterattack in less than 2 seconds, a move considered impossible for a human pilot in Russian combat simulators. And yet the Viper Strike achieves it. Not because of its power, but because of its ability to predict what the pilot will do. When the human brain forms the intent to move the stick, the neural sensors have already detected the impulse. That fraction of a second, imperceptible to us, can mean the difference between life and death at Mach 2. In essence, the F-36 isn't just an aircraft designed for war. It's a concept of the future made present. It represents the ultimate union of human engineering and artificial intelligence. And, like all technology ahead of its time, it raises an unsettling question. Will the pilot still be the one making decisions? Or will the machine decide for them? What's clear is that as we observe this project's evolution, the line between man and weapon is fading. The machine no longer obeys, it collaborates. It no longer waits for orders, it anticipates them. And when that happens, the battlefield changes forever. The cost of dominance. Air superiority always comes at a price. The F-22 was so expensive that only about 180 units were built. The F-35, despite its mass production, became the costliest program in military history. The F-36 had to break that cycle. Its goal, reduce costs without reducing lethality. The Pentagon knew the future wouldn't belong to the largest armies, but to the most adaptable ones. The Viper Strike was conceived under that premise. Every component is designed to be assembled as a module, interchangeable in hours, not days. Its maintenance can be performed directly on the runway, with automated technical drones that scan the surface, detect faults, and replace parts without human intervention. This approach reduces operational costs by up to 40% compared to the F-35. But the real savings lie in availability time. While an F-35 may require weeks of maintenance after a complex mission, the F-36 can take off again in less than 24 hours. In real combat, that means constant presence. Its logistics have also been reimagined. Supply lines don't rely on fixed bases but on mobile nodes, ships, temporary hangars, and automated refueling stations. Each Viper strike can receive partial maintenance even in combat zones, using 3D printed parts made from nanoparticle composites. Behind this efficiency lies a shift in mindset. The F-36 isn't a jewel to be coddled. It's a tool to be used without fear of loss. That philosophy echoes the fighters of World War II, when quantity and resilience were as valuable as technology. But in this case, quantity comes with intelligence. The Viper strike is cheaper, yes, but it's also more scalable. Its architecture allows for specific variants, attack, reconnaissance, or electronic warfare, without redesigning the aircraft. Simply swap internal modules and update the software. This way, the US can deploy entire fleets tailored to each scenario without investing billions in new models. For the first time, military power won't be measured solely in money, but in adaptability speed. And the F-36 was designed for that. To dominate not just the sky, but the economics of war. The history of aviation has always been a series of leaps, an invention that forces everyone else to catch up. The F-36 Viper strike emerges exactly at that point, as the leap that forces everything to be rethought. It's not just another aircraft, it's the physical manifestation of a strategic decision to prioritize information, adaptability, and autonomy over mere brute force. This isn't an upgrade, it's a new generation. In the beginning, conflicts were decided by ammunition and men. Today, they're decided by data, the ability to process it, and the speed at which it's transformed into decisions. The Viper strike embodies that logic. Its true value isn't in an extra missile or an additional Mach point, it's in its ability to turn seconds into an advantage into air control. While others try to catch up, the US is already at the next level. But all-powerful technology brings hard questions. What does it mean to delegate lethal decisions to algorithms that learn in combat? Where does human judgment end and machine autonomy begin? The answers aren't simple, and military policies will have to evolve as fast as the technology. What's certain is that combat aviation is heading toward a symbiosis, man and machine working as a single entity. Every screw, every angle was designed to never be seen, but also to think faster than human memory. And in the geopolitical chessboard, the Viper strike's existence is already a move in itself. Not all changes are announced publicly. Many operate in the shadows, altering plans and strategies without firing a single shot. If you think Russia dominates this technology, wait until you see what's next. Modern deterrence doesn't shout. It whispers solutions that discourage escalation before it begins. The sky to come will be different. No more glorified dogfights, coordinated missions, shared decisions, networks acting as living units. The F-36 is the first stone of that structure. Its role won't be to appear in parades, but to redefine operational reality. More presence, less vulnerability, greater resilience. Close your eyes and imagine a conflict where information arrives first, where the response is nearly instantaneous, and where the enemy never truly knows what hit them. That's the promise of the Viper strike. The question lingering in the air isn't technical or tactical, it's moral and strategic. Are we ready to accept a new kind of air supremacy, governed by machines that anticipate and humans who decide with less room for error? The future is already in flight. What once seemed like fiction is now a project in a hangar, a software in testing, an idea turned into policy. It remains to be seen how the world responds, what countermeasures arise, and how the rules of combat are redefined. But one thing is certain: whoever controls information and turns it into action will dominate the sky. Are you ready to witness the next era of air warfare?